Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on this very, very labor-intensive project that I've been working on. I'm sorry I didn't record the beginnings of this. It's not something that I was originally planning on making a video of because I just knew it was going to take so long. And I only have so much storage space on my phone, you know? But to explain what I've got going on here, let me come over here. I'm making a round metal building. It's going to be quite tall, especially because I added this extra foundation to it. About 3 feet high, depending on where you're standing on the ground. And then that giant pile of dirt there, I dug out from the middle of this to make it level. That shovel is not there for show. I did dig all this out by hand. I wish I had a tractor that I could have secretly used off screen, but I don't. So the plan here is to compact this down. It's relatively flat. I'm going to compact it down with that thing over there. And then I have this koi pond liner that I'm going to put down as a moisture barrier across the whole thing. And then I'm going to put a backfill with that soil over there, which is a good mix of clay and sand. Backfill that on top of the moisture barrier, mix it with a little bit of cement, and then pack that down, and I'll have a rammed earth floor. And this these foundations that I built, by the way, they're not traditional concrete. They're actually rammed earth, but with a very high amount of cement mixed in with them. If you don't know what rammed earth is, just quick rundown. You basically build a form, a very heavy-duty reinforced form, and you pack it with layers of dirt, basically, a mix of clay and sand. You pack it down, and then you add a new layer, pack that down, add a new layer, pack that down. And some people will add cement to it, especially if you're in regions with higher humidity or rainfall, like I'm in. So I actually have quite a high amount of cement in these walls compared to how most people do rammed earth. Okay, so I was trying not to have one of those bad YouTuber moments where you're working on the project and then it cuts and they're like, hey, I did a little bit of work off camera, and they come back and there's like days worth of work done that you didn't get to see. But unfortunately, that's what wound up happening. So here we are now. I've gotten a few rings, 4 rings fully up, and 1 more ring started on the side. So I don't remember if I mentioned it in the prior section, but I have a second floor that I'm building across here. I wasn't originally sure if I was going to have a second floor or not, but I had no way of assembling the rings way up there without a second floor, unless I rented a scissor lift or scaffolding or something. So I just went ahead and built a second floor so that I could stand on it to assemble the roof. And the floor isn't done; it's just the joists. and plywood sitting on top of wherever I need the floor to be currently. I'll have a real floor in the future, but I'm focusing more on getting the roof done first. I ran into an issue when I went to join the two sections together in the middle. Despite all of my careful measuring, like I assembled 2 full rings together on the ground. I had no instruction manual for this building, by the way. I don't even know what brand it is. There's no brand anywhere on it. I bought it for $1,000 on a pallet. So I just did my best guessing. I assembled 2 full rings on the ground and measured the distance with the base attached to them, and it was exactly 20 feet. So whenever I did my molds for the foundations on the side, I measured everything out. I measured everything like 50 times, trying to get everything perfectly because I knew I wouldn't be able to move it. But despite all of my careful measuring and planning ahead of time, still, when I went to merge the 2 sections together in the center, they were a full foot off somehow. I don't know how. So rather than do something really janky up there to get them to meet together, what we wound up doing was actually we loosened the screws, the bolts on the bottom plate, just enough to, whenever we assembled it, we could lean the walls in slightly. You can see the walls on this first half that I have assembled already. They're tilted in, and the walls that I haven't finished yet are still straight up and down. So the walls are leaned in slightly, which I wasn't planning on, but most of these round metal buildings do have walls leaned in slightly on the edges, so I'm fine with that. Okay, some other info. The centers of these panels, they're 24-inch centers, so rather than try to do something weird to get 16-inch centers with the with all of my studs, I just settled on 24-inch centers. And the joists here are also, not only are they sitting on top of the wood here and in the middle, but they're also screwed into the side there with waterproof fasteners. So one bolt on the side, instead of having a bolt run through and a nut on the inside, I just have screws running into the board up there to secure it. And that's also those joists up there. That's also helped me bring the sides of the building in and keep them pulled in for when I'm assembling the pieces up top together. And then once they're up top, the tension is off the screws. So I'd like to apologize for this video being so disjointed and all over the place. In the next video in the series, I'm going to start having a little bit more focus. I'm going to attempt to make a door out of that pile of wood there. We'll see how it'll go. But currently what I'm doing is putting used diesel oil on all of the wood in here. So you can see the difference here. not oiled, oiled. Use diesel oil. If you're not from the boonies like I am, it's actually quite common for people to treat buildings with used diesel oil. People will use it on the exterior of shop buildings, which I don't recommend because I don't want any leakage of that burnt diesel oil to, be making it back into the groundwater. But this is all going to be interior at the most. It's just dealing with humidity right now. And the pieces on the edge might get splashed from rain, but it should all be self-contained in this envelope here. So yeah, my personal rule for painting wood with burnt diesel oil is to not put it anywhere where I would be coming in regular contact with it, so like a deck, and not use it on something that would be exposed to the elements, because I don't want water to wash any of it off and it get back into the groundwater. A note on color, it's interesting. The studs on the side are Douglas fir and the joists up top are pine. They take the color way differently. So you can see this is Douglas fir here, and then it turns it a very, almost a burgundy color, but then the pine, it's just very dark brown. And when you first put it on, it has a nice gloss to it. You can see, I don't know if you can see that well, but it's got a nice sheen to it. But because the oil doesn't, harden like a boiled linseed oil, it will just keep on seeping further and further into the wood, especially if it gets warm, like in the summer, the sun hitting it right now. It will seep further and further into the wood, and the color will actually lighten some as time goes on as a result of that, because the oil is penetrating further into the wood. If you're wondering why I'm doing this, it's because this is not a temperature-controlled building yet. Despite this being covered, it's still beginning to get a little bit of mold growth, which I don't want, and this is a very good method for preventing mold growth. So yeah, again, I'm sorry that this video's been so disjointed. I just wanted to get the metal up as quickly as I could, so I didn't have time to be making the video while I was doing that, and I had to build this platform in order to put the metal roof up. So I was racing against time. I didn't have time to make a proper video on all of this process, but that part's done now, so we can slow down and make a door. This is all I'm using, by the way, to put the oil on. I have this tin that's meant for painting trim, but I've got that sitting in a coffee can just because I want to be really careful about spills. Anything that spills out of that will spill into the coffee can instead of spilling onto the ground. Also, a quick note about this. It's because it's not a fancy stain, it's not paint, you don't have to be that careful with it. Obviously, don't sling it around, don't make a mess of everything. But on the tops of the rails, I like to put extra because, like I said, the oil will just keep soaking into the wood over time. By tomorrow, this puddle here will have fully soaked into the wood. You can keep adding oil to it for a while if you wanted to. That's not going to be necessary, but it doesn't hurt to leave a little bit of extra oil sitting on top because it will find its way fully soaked into the wood. I just wanted to emphasize that even though I'm being careful about drips by using this thing, even if I did get drips from up here onto the floor down here, this floor is going to become one solid slab, and I already have the 20 millimeter thick moisture barrier down underneath it. So if any oil did fall onto this floor, it's already self-contained. No water's getting in here and washing the oil out into the groundwater, so we're safe on that front. If you're wondering why I chose to use burnt diesel oil on this as opposed to something like, boiled linseed oil or paint. For one, those things are bad for the environment too. But this was a used product, and I kept it from winding up somewhere that it shouldn't. It came from not, let's just say that the people that I got it from, I don't have faith that they would have disposed of it properly. And me getting it for free and me using it in this way keeps it from winding up in the environment where it shouldn't. That's going to be all the time that we have for now. Like I said, in the next video, we're going to have a little bit more focus. We're going to make a door out of this wood here. So go ahead and subscribe and stick around for that probably better video than this.